When you bring up Batman, one of the most common questions is, which Batman are you talking about? There have been countless versions of the Caped Crusader, all of which put their own spin on the character. In this video, we're going to be breaking down what made each Batman so unique and why some are more popular than others. To make things a little easier though, I'm only going to be talking about the live action versions of the character. Let's get right in. We're starting off with Lewis Wilson. He was the first actor to ever play Batman on screen. This was back in 1943 when he played a version of the character that was set during World War II. The series depicted Batman as an agent for the United States who was tasked with catching an agent from Japan named Dr. Daka. The series was heavily criticized during its time for being ludicrous, but nowadays it's considered a cult classic. After Lewis took off the cape, it was picked up by Robert Lowry. Appearing as the second ever Batman in 1949, Lowry starred in the series Batman and Robin. The dynamic duo made a name for themselves as they fought against the Wizard, but they sadly only lasted 15 chapters before being shut down. Much like its predecessor, the series wasn't considered a success during its time, but is now loved by hardcore fans of the character. Next up, there was Adam West, who played Batman from 1966 to 1968. Honestly, when people are talking about vintage Batman, they're usually referring to Adam West. The actor first put on the cowl in a 1966 Batman film and then continued in a Batman television series that aired the same year. West played the character in 120 episodes and multiple movies/specials. The role of Batman made Adam West an internationally known name, and the way he played the character quickly became iconic. It's even been referenced in more modern shows like Family Guy or Fairly Odd Parents, where Adam West actually plays the voice of himself and his alter ego, Catman. Now let's take a look at a lot of people's first introduction to the live action world of Batman, which was brought to life by Michael Keaton. The star of Beetlejuice first responded to the iconic bat signal over 30 years ago in 1989. And recently he reprised his role in 2023's The Flash, which was very well received. Keaton is considered to be the first Dark Knight in the modern era. He was highly praised for the way he played the fake version of Bruce Wayne. This Bruce would put up a front for the cameras to dismiss any suspicions that he might be Batman. However, he still clearly embodied the struggles that the character carried with him. Then when he put on the cowl, Bruce would become a very charismatic but threatening version of Batman that hadn't yet been seen on the big screen. Many fans believe that Michael Keaton played a big part in Batman's trajectory in the movie industry. After Keaton put down the cowl, Val Kilmer stepped in and became the next Batman. Only this version had nipples. That's right, Kilmer was the first Batman to have nipples designed into the armor. And I'm not sure if it was to prevent chafing or something, but it looked wild. That's basically my only complaint about Kilmer's version of the character, and that's not the actor's fault at all. Val Kilmer brought out the parental side of Batman, as he was the first in the modern era to adopt a Robin. This hero-sidekick dynamic added depth to Bruce Wayne and eventually Batman, as the pair worked to take down Two-Face and the Riddler. Kilmer's Batman is known for being surprisingly mature, even though he is still a grown man dressed in a leather batsuit. Surprisingly enough though, Kilmer's Batman was quickly replaced by one that was played by George Clooney, but was technically supposed to be the same character. Clooney appeared as Batman in Joel Schumacher's Batman and Robin. Sadly, this version of Batman is often regarded as being the worst depiction of the character ever. Many argue whether that's the actor's fault or the director's, but watching Batman and Robin having a bidding war over Uma Thurman's Poison Ivy is something that seemed out of place. I mean, it was hilarious, and I'll never forget Batman pulling out a Batman credit card, but that's not necessarily what most want to picture when they're talking about or watching their beloved Batman. Still, Clooney played a fun version of Batman regardless of the criticism. Next, we have one of the most iconic actors to ever put on the cowl, Christian Bale. This version of Batman first appeared in 2004 and became the face of the character for the next 7 years. Christian Bale's Batman is known for his gruff voice and his very armored costume. As a fan of the Dark Knight trilogy myself, I have to say that I loved Bale's version of Batman. It didn't come without its flaws though. For instance, most of the earlier versions of the character were known for their speed and combat prowess. Christian Bale's Batman, on the other hand, may have known how to fight, but was surely slowed down by all of his armor. His movements weren't as fluid as other versions of the character, but that doesn't make him any worse. Most people will say that the Dark Knight's version of Batman is their favorite. That's not surprising though, when you consider how well Bale juggled the playboy Bruce Wayne persona and his heroically violent darker half. The actor certainly nailed the part and deserves every bit of praise that he gets for it. Next up, we have the youngest version of Batman that we've seen in live action, who was played by David Mazouz. David first took on the role of a young Bruce Wayne in the TV series Gotham. Throughout the series, fans got to watch the actor turn Bruce from a whiny child into someone who can channel his issues into a successful tool for himself. Even though he wasn't shown as Batman until the very final scene of the show, the way Mazos played Bruce was very commendable. He brought his own passion to the character, and no matter what mood Bruce was supposed to be in, David hit the mark. Whether he was being calm and collected or absolutely raging out on a bully who talked smack about his dead parents. If you don't count how ridiculous the costume looked at the end of Gotham, I'd say that Mazos played a pretty good Batman in prequel form. Now, let's talk about the GOAT, the Batman of all Batman, Kevin Conroy. This man has been the voice of Batman in animated movies and shows since 1992. He is hands down the most iconic voice for Batman, and no one can do it better. I hate to say it, but it's true. Conroy finally got to play a live-action version of Bruce Wayne in Arrowverse. During their Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover special, Kevin portrayed Bruce Wayne from the Kingdom Come inspired storyline. This version was wearing a large exoskeleton that helped him walk and function after decades of years of fighting as Batman had finally taken a toll on his body. Kevin Conroy sadly passed away in November 2022, and his last role as Batman is set to release in 2024 in the video game Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League. Rest in peace, Kevin. You're a legend. Now let's take a look at Ian Glenn's version of the character. Ian took on the role of Batman and Bruce Wayne in the live-action series Titans. He only appeared in a few scenes from the show, but from what fans can gather from his character, he was a very emotional version of Bruce Wayne. Titans is filled with references to how Batman basically used every version of Robin that he ever had and turned children into weapons. However, when push came to shove and the Joker killed his most recent sidekick, Jason Todd, he lost it. Ian Glenn played one of the only versions of Batman to ever straight up kill the Joker, and after doing so, he hung up the cowl forever. Now we have Ben Affleck, who played an older version of Bruce Wayne set in the DCEU. Affleck first appeared as Batman in 2016's Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. The movie was highly anticipated as it put two of DC's biggest heroes against each other, but a lot of people were unsure about Affleck's casting. That being said, after the actor put on over 30 pounds of muscle for the role, opinions quickly changed. It was nice to see a version of Bruce Wayne that had already been Batman for more than a decade and was more mature than previous portrayals. It added a sort of depth to the character that was typically only seen in the comics or animated films and series. Not to mention how great he was with the action shots. With the speed that Affleck's Batman had, it really was like watching the old cartoons, and I loved it. Last but not least, let's talk about the latest version of the Batman, which was brought to life by former vampire Robert Pattinson. Let me start by saying that I loved this portrayal of Batman, and the movie in general was a masterpiece. It took a tone that not many Batman movies have taken in the last decade or so, and really leaned into the detective aspect of the character. Pattinson was cast as Batman back in 2019 when Matt Reeves took over the project, and many people were unsure about if he could get the job done or not. But when they saw him beating the crap out of thugs under the Gotham City streetlights, all of that doubt was put to rest, not to mention how great he was when the cowl was off. As Bruce Wayne, Robert Pattinson chose to play down his philanthropist side and lean into the still young and brooding loner aspect of the character. This worked considering the timeline and that the version of Batman was still young in his career as the Caped Crusader. It's hard to pick who's the best when it comes to live-action Batman, but out of the 12 actors, who do you think best played the part? Be sure to let me know in the comments down below. I'm sure the debate will be fantastic. And if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss any more Flicksplained hits. And would you look at that? We just popped one on the screen for you right now, so go ahead and click that and I will see you over there.